Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our first webinar of 2018, Building Late Funnel Affinity with Creative Yield Strategies. We'll wait just an extra minute or two for those just joining and allow some people that are still logging in to get here. But I'm going to launch a quick poll. If you feel like answering it for us, it would be great. Your responses might help us tailor this content as we go along. Got some answers rolling in. Give just one more minute before we get things going. So far, about 50% of our attendees are in the so-so category, that it has the basics, but you're looking for some new, fresh ideas. So that's perfect. That's kind of where we're at with the content today. All right, I'm going to close the poll, and we'll go ahead and get started. So hi again to those who just joined. We'll take questions as we go along. So feel free to use the question box in the sidebar there to submit questions. And if we can, we'll answer them throughout, but should also have a few minutes at the close of the webinar to answer some as well. And also, if you have a cool yield idea that's worked for you in the past and you want to share it with the group, feel free to enter them right in the chat box as well. So let us introduce ourselves briefly here. Get my slides going. There we go. We're MediaCross, a full-service marketing firm specializing in recruitment that works with a range of industries, but as the Director of Higher Education Marketing, I focus 100% on how our team optimizes the whole range of enrollment marketing tools that we offer. I've got about 12 years in the industry. I'm Jessica, the one on the left, both here on the partner side and on the college and university side as well. With me today is our guru in all things research, Dr. James Feinberg, who will talk soon on some really great research approaches that optimize your yield efforts.
Hi, everybody.
Today, maybe you're on your lunch break or you're fitting us in between meetings, and we're super glad that you're here. It's no surprise to this group that's here that yield is upon us. Hold your breath, only 40 days till May 1, and the competition is just getting fiercer. But it seems like a trend, is kind of continuing to focus budget resources on filling the inquiry pool. But a lot of the college partners that we have are those we chat with at conferences like the one I was just at this week with community colleges out in Las Vegas, is that inquiries may be up, but complete apps or deposits are flat instead of rising with that tide of inquiries. But so much can be done with your captive audience right now, your engaged applicant pool. So we're going to cover some end-to-end yield ideas in pretty short order. So we'll start with upgrading your acceptance package, ideas for that, which is basically your yield kickoff piece, how to use the data you already have or gain new insights with straightforward solutions to guide your yield strategies, some fun ideas and tools to keep students engaged over the long summer months, or since October when they filed the FAFSA, bringing influencers back into your marketing as they'll begin, and then also bringing influencers back into your marketing as they'll begin to help students make those final decisions. So let's get going. Acceptance packages. I don't know about you, James, but I feel like acceptance packages they run the gamut in terms of simple letters to elaborate packages. To seniors and their families, though, that moment of college acceptance is so impactful that even McDonald's made a commercial about it. Make sure that what you're sending is matching their excitement and increasing the pride they feel in that moment. This is really the first piece in your yield toolbox, so treat it like a campaign kickoff piece. You're done recruiting this student in the prospecting sense, so now bring them into this special communication plan with a purpose. They're a pirate or a banana slug or a saint, make them feel it. This is also a moment that sometimes becomes bogged down into the next 15 steps a student needs to take to enroll. Ensure that your acceptance package has these things clearly defined, of course, but I recently reviewed an acceptance packet that was this kind of series of tiny flyers and leaflets and strips of paper, all kind of bundled into a folder. It covered a lot of items, but goodness, I couldn't differentiate what I really needed to read, or was it just there for my reading pleasure? An affordable way to approach this is to maybe use a one pocket folder. The pocket can hold the fun stuff like the letter that you've expertly crafted and maybe a poster to hang on the wall, but then get down to brass tacks on the interior of the folder, like the left-hand side with no pocket. Print all the steps so it's right there in their folder, not loose-leafed and kind of flying everywhere, and create a checklist that they can physically check off, and they'll use that folder all the way through as they're all things enrollment to your university spot. Speaking of that poster, that is one way to elicit pride and also social shares. I'll talk more about an admitted poster project in just a minute, but whatever you do, capture this momentum of the moment to get students to share their acceptance on social media. It can be simple. It could be in the packet, like with a poster or some other piece that is shareable in your admissions email with a link. Admission to your university is such a pinnacle moment for 17-year-olds or whatever. So give them instructions, give them something to share with a hashtag and a follow, but we will touch more on social media a little bit later. This piece is also something parents will pour through. They're reading all the details. So can you engage them here? Do you have a parent site or a parent Facebook group? How can you get them into a specific communication flow right now? Maybe send them a landing page for parents and give them all those details that they crave. Before we get further into crafting communication flows, let's have James jump in and talk a little bit more about how your yield dollars can be optimized by using your data through predictive modeling.
Hi, everybody. So one of the things that we're very committed to at MediaCross is ensuring that all of our strategies are based in data. And in terms of what Jessica's talking about related to creating an emotional and enthusiastic response for accepted students, because we don't want to make a false distinction between data-driven and emotional and fun. Those are not mutually exclusive ideas. However, within your cohort of accepted students, there are going to be folks who are extremely likely to apply, somewhat likely to apply, and very unlikely to enroll. So it's really important that, assuming that you don't have the resources to dedicate equal time to every single admitted student, you want to have an understanding as to which admitted students are most likely to enroll. And you can prioritize your efforts both in terms of marketing dollar allocation and human resource allocation. So for example, what you're looking at here is a spreadsheet of admitted students, and you'll see kind of the usual suspects in terms of the data that are being collected about each one. So, kind of your student search type of data related to GPA and academic scores on college admissions tests, major of interest, ethnic and location-based information. Using all of the data that we can gather about students, we can create models to predict how likely each one is to enroll. So that column that you're seeing in the lower image that says enrolled probability assigns a 0 to 100% likelihood score of each admitted student enrolling. What we would recommend is taking those scores and using that to prioritize your efforts. So for example, you're probably going to want to, perhaps send a more expensive acceptance package to somebody who's 95% likely to enroll, whereas somebody whom you've admitted who's only, let's say, 5 or 10% likely to enroll, maybe the efforts there focus more on, email and not so much on phone calls and more, time-consuming and expensive outreach. But the bottom line is that you want to have a segmented strategy for every stage of the funnel, but also at this time of year for admitted students. And so by engaging in predictive modeling, we can help prioritize those admitted students. And the other thing is that if any of you are doing predictive modeling now or considering it, you might have talked to some vendors who will remain nameless who might be charging, upwards of 6 figures for that. Again, at Media Cross, as you'll see in some of these slides, we are very committed to creating solutions that are, one, affordable, and two, comprehensible, that your team can potentially work with, either on their own or with minimal guidance. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that as well.
Thanks, James. Yeah. So now that you've got that plan refined with that predictive modeling, kind of who you want to highlight, it's time to surprise and delight that admitted pool. Research shows that students really crave content that separates you from the pack. They already feel like college marketing skews toward templated types of communication. So set yourselves apart by using photography and video as much as possible to differentiate the experience that they'll have by attending your university. One way one of our clients has achieved this is by sending all admitted students branded VR glasses or virtual reality glasses. Then they send out triggers by email or mail when a new 360 video becomes available on YouTube. 360 video cameras are not that expensive, and you can also take pretty decent ones using just a modern mobile device. But these videos might include things like residence hall room tours, campus events, or even just local hangouts that students like to visit around campus or outside of campus when they're not in class. This extends your ability to give students the sense of place they need to understand how they'll fit in at your college. At the same time, celebrate their individuality and personality. Another project that's helped Park University increase their yield rate over the past few years is an admitted student poster campaign. This started with a brief image-based, BuzzFeed-style personality quiz. We then matched up personality profiles or personas with bright, highly designed posters featuring pop culture icon quotes from people like Derek Jeter, Nelson Mandela, Tina Fey, and Taylor Swift. The university brand was a little bit in the background so that students were a little more likely to share and post their cool new poster that might also match up with another student attending Park, therefore matching up potential friends by following the hashtag. Direct mail is a great tool, but you can also take your yield online through microsites that are specifically geared toward admitted students. For example, we transitioned a print housing guide for Winona State University into an award-winning residence life microsite and a trigger postcard. Microsites are great because they can be flexible. You can push new content out over time, keeping admitted students coming back and keeping them on task and entertained throughout the yield cycle. Another great idea I've seen is to develop downloads for admitted students. Everything from Facebook profile photos and cover photos to show their spirit and share their decision and that pride in that decision, to custom photo booth accessories that they can print out and use at their graduation parties. All these things can live on a microsite. Students and parents both love to show their spirit when they've made a decision, so there's also no reason not to create a spirit shop right there on your admitted student microsite where families can buy fun, new student-specific university gear. Once a student is admitted, it's also time to start passing the baton on to student life, residence life, career services, or even just current students themselves. Before the digital age, when I was comparing schools, even the effort that my tour guide made to reach out to me a few times after my campus tour helped me make that decision. I felt like I had a contact there that I could feel comfortable going to if I felt a little lost once I moved to campus. Finding opportunities for students to engage with offices across campus right now, which really, quite frankly, will become much more a part of their lives once they enroll versus admissions, can help a family feel more prepared to become part of your community and feel like they fit in even more. One way to assist in growing their breadth of exposure to your university is through social media. While most students are using all these social channels at one point or another, Facebook still remains the channel that students are using the most for college research, and so are their parents. So make sure they're following you. A good portion of students and parents find your social channels on your website, so at a minimum, make sure those icons are front and center, easily accessible throughout your website. You can also affordably deploy follower growth campaigns using your applicant list. This works just like a sponsored ad, but the call to action is to like your page. This ensures that your captive, admitted audience is part of that social pool. However, Facebook and its ever-changing algorithms have been a bit of a stick in the mud for brands and their social page followers. Often only a sliver of your page followers are actually seeing those organic posts. But there's hope because Facebook groups do more to ensure that the members see those posts. They're also a great way to get your enrolling class engaging with each other. Offer exclusive content for the Facebook groups, insider info from current students using Facebook Live on the group page, etc. Things that are just special for that admitted group. Students and parents will also engage in Twitter chats where you set a time and date for a faculty member, financial aid officer, or another department that enrolling students love to chat with to be online and answering questions. Another new trend in social by colleges and universities that helps show that personality of the school and its student body is social takeovers, particularly in use on Instagram. This is where a student, a current student takes over the Instagram feed for a day or for a weekend, posting their experiences, sites on campus, events, etc. on the official university or admissions page. This takes some management and trust on your end, but there are ways to create processes by which this can be executed with peace of mind and not too much heartburn on your end. Not only should you be monitoring your own activity on social media closely during the yield phase, but you should be just simply listening to social media from a brand management standpoint. I'll let James explain a little bit more.
Yes, so what you're looking at here is an example of how social media conversation can be monitored strategically with your own brand and perhaps those of your competitors in mind, in addition to searching for admissions-related terms. So what you're looking at here, for example, is the search term accepted and USC. And what you'll see in the results in the rows of data in this image are people talking about the fact that they are accepted to USC. And in some cases, we see a lot of excitement. In some cases, we see people talking about the fact that they are accepted to USC in addition to a range of competing institutions. So we would never suggest that, social media can get a little bit funky sometimes in that there are often questions about the extent to which people should engage directly with students, or sometimes people feel like, hey, am I stalking the student if I respond to something like this? So we wouldn't necessarily recommend that you would reply directly to a post like this. However, if you can match the post to one of your admitted students, it can give your admissions team a lot of data that can help inform outreach strategy. So for example, if we see that somebody's been accepted into your institution and they're online talking about the fact that they are also accepted into these other institutions, and or if they're talking, about the fact that they're really excited, but maybe they are still waiting for some other schools, there's a whole host of data that can be gleaned from posts like this. And in fact, we see all the time students talking about not only being excited, but what are the factors that are still influencing their decision process? Is it related to financial aid and scholarship opportunities that they're waiting for? But long story short is you can use the data from these posts to help your admissions counselors and or your financial aid counselors reach out with information that is going to be relevant to help the student kind of make their decision.
Right. So influencers, parents, friends, and guidance counselors. This group of people is really influential in the early stage when the initial list is being made. They kind of take a back seat once, application phases and, get, campus visits or those kinds of things are happening. And then they enter back into this final decision-making process just as strong as they started. Maybe it's because a student's on the fence and they need help making that decision. Maybe it's because financial aid packages are literally being compared down to the cent. Either way, parents, guardians, and guidance counselors can't be left out of this yield phase. Make sure you're building in a process by which to gather that parent information, though, as early as possible, so way pre-yield, so that you can build a robust yield plan around them. It's not too early at all to even include this in your search landing pages. Parents not only apply on behalf of their students, they inquire on behalf of their students. So offer an option at that first touch point to help them self-identify, I am a parent, and offer them then parent-specific communication all the way through. Your parent comp plan can be more information heavy too. They're consuming a lot more content than their students. Answer their questions before they have them. Will my student get a job? Is a four-year degree worth it? How much debt can my family expect? And how does that work for me in 4 years? What's security like on campus? And what happens if there is an incident? You can reach parents through the same channels, though, like direct mail, social channels, and digital display campaigns. And IP targeting as a part of a parent push works great because digital marketing style reaches the household and all the devices in it. All influencers and the student potentially receive the messages. Don't be afraid, though, to create content that is widely beneficial to these influencers, things that aren't university first in terms of content, but that they can use as resources and that you can share far and wide on social channels, positioning your university as the resource in the college planning and choice process. Shareability of content is key. Just like admitted student microsites, audience-specific microsites also work well for housing these frequently asked questions and resources, and can even facilitate parent-to-parent communication. Because we found too that parents are influencing other parents in the college choice process. That's why we're working right now to create a proprietary social sharing slideshow-style video app that can be used to create a buzz after a student or family visits campus or attends orientation. It's our hope that this exciting new technology will help extend the buzz of a campus visit, be shared, and bring friends of friends to your doorstep. I'm happy to talk more about that product too with anyone individually. Still just getting started, but reach out to me after the webinar for sure. Your yield messaging should be a living thing, always evolving to speak to the reasons your last class, those that did not choose to enroll, why they didn't, why they chose not to. So James will take you through that process and some ideas there.
Great. So again, taking a research focus in terms of constantly collecting data, one of the key audience groups in higher education that we find too often neglected are those admitted students who decided not to attend your institution. Their opinions are incredibly important in terms of informing your ongoing recruitment strategy from a messaging standpoint. So what we highly recommend is that every summer you survey all the students whom you admitted who elected to attend elsewhere. And we understand from doing various types of higher education studies, particularly with prospective students and other external audiences, that there are a handful of key drivers that really inform the college decision process. So opinions about, the school's academic rank and reputation, the quality of the prospective student's major of interest, perceptions of faculty quality, perceptions of outcomes. These tend to be the attributes of a school that really drive the enrollment decision. So what we want to know are, we want to know what the admitted students who didn't decide to enroll at your institution, how they view you on all of those key attributes. We also want to know where they decided to go. And then once we know that, we want to compare your school to the institution where they decided to go along all those key attributes that drive the enrollment decision. So that way, when the next admission season is starting, you will have a lot of highly relevant and timely data in hand to help address those perceived deficits. Finally, we want to talk to you about a service that blends market research, search engine optimization, and lead capture. And this is something that we're really excited about. It's also a way to get different departments on campus supporting each other, namely advancement or alumni relations and enrollment. So what you're seeing here, you're probably familiar if you've ever searched for online products and services, how Amazon and a lot of other companies have these star ratings and testimonials. Well, we've actually created a service that does something similar for higher education. And what we do is we survey alumni, again, along the same attributes that we know are important in the enrollment decision process for prospective students. So we want to find out from alums, how they rated the quality of their teaching, how they rated the quality of, the perception of their overall investment in their degree programs, all of those kind of key drivers of the enrollment decision process. Then we ask alums if they are willing to provide testimonials of their experience at your institution. And for those that are, we collect those. If you see in the image up top, you'll see star ratings and testimonials that are embedded on a program page. This has a very specific type of website metadata that is, behind the scenes and not visible to the prospective students, but it's incredible for search engine optimization. So for example, because of the star ratings and reviews, Google understands that they're looking at something that is validated by third parties. So it gives your website more credibility when it has ratings and reviews from your, in this case, your alums. That does wonders for the extent to which your institution and its programs will be found online. So for example, this page that you're looking at, the school saw an 81% increase in website traffic to their program pages year over year once they implemented these stars and reviews. And then, so we're driving a ton more traffic to your program pages. Then, where you see that little widget that says engage with rakes, we have an additional technology that is optionally put on program pages. It's an automated inquiry capture form. It looks and feels like a live chat, but in fact it is not. It's a predefined conversation, and it's getting tons of people in the funnel, and in some cases, all the way to enrollment. So all the institutions that we're working with that are using this workflow are seeing, in many cases, record enrollment numbers and extremely qualified inquiries. So again, it's a way to kind of blend the ideas of conducting a bit of market research, transforming that data into a very powerful and immediate marketing asset that's web-based, and then enhancing your inquiry capture capabilities.
Yeah, and what I love about this, specifically is that we talk to a lot of college, colleges and universities that sort of struggle with how to sort of present their academic programs online, because often there's a lot of content that they feel they kind of need to get in there, or maybe it's video, et cetera. But this ratings and rankings is like immediately digestible and understandable from a student perspective, and is just the kind of visual that they're used to seeing that tells me something is good or quality. So I really like it just cosmetically.
And it also really helps institutions avoid the trap of sounding like everybody else. Conceptually, this is a very simple idea. It's let your happy alums help you sell your institution. But it's nice here because when you collect all these testimonials, you're getting differentiated marketing language in a sense. And so you're not as dependent upon your own internal team to try and write program descriptions for 80 majors. And it's just a nice way to kind of sound and feel a little bit different.
For sure. Well, we wanted to make this, fairly brief for you. We know it's lunchtime, and and you've got lots on your plate. So we wanted to make it brief, but we do have time for questions. If there are any, feel free to put them in the question box. Basically, to sum this up, creative strategies are awesome, and we love to at MediaCross think kind of, for lack of a cliched word, phrase, outside the box, and what other industry strategies that we work with can we bring to higher education, but also, exciting creative, again, it helps you stand out from the crowd, but without the research behind it, you may not be as effective. So kind of starting with research and always checking against your data and your research, and kind of continually making sure that the strategies that you're implementing are hitting the mark is how you're going to be able to move that yield needle forward. James, do you have anything final, or?
No, that definitely covered it. But
All right.
looking forward to questions as well as your ideas on
Yeah.
creative yield strategies.
Yeah, if there's any items that you guys have seen work really great, you can put them in the chat box and deploy it to the entire audience. But looks like, there was a question about, will this presentation be available after the webinar? Yes, this has been recorded, and it will be emailed this afternoon out to all attendees. So you will definitely have it at your fingertips to share with anyone else on your teams. If there are no more questions, we'll go ahead and let you get back to your lunch and the rest of your day. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And we will have a series of webinars coming out. We have our next one in early June. So we would love to have you for that. That will focus on creating an enrollment-driven brand. So join us for that. We will send emails later. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.